like to call this meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone to the April 20th monthly meeting of the Bryan City Board of Education. Let's begin this evening with a pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, and I'd like to thank everyone who is in attendance this evening, either in our audience or viewing, public audience. Let's begin with the roll call. Rob?
Emily Ebal. Here. Cinder Keeler.
Here.
Tom Lingby.
Here.
Brian Miller.
Here.
Glenn Newcomer.
Here. Okay, fellow board members, you had before you the minutes to the previous meeting for the March board meeting. Upon review, are there any additions or corrections? If not, can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the March meeting?
So moved.
Moved by Tom, is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Cindra. Please call the roll.
Cindra.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
Brian.
Yes.
Glenn.
Yes.
Emily.
Yes.
Okay, I'm unaware of any public participation at this time. Did you have anything? Okay, very good. We'll move on into communications and have a four-county report from Cindra.
Okay, and I do have a report this evening. This coming Thursday, April 30th, is the National Technical Honor Society Banquet, and there will be 40 students inducted. And with that being said, we have Bryan inductees this year, which include Carly Boylan, who is in the Sports Fitness Program, Trace Lloyd, who's in the Health Careers Program, and Kennedy Nicolin, who's in the Veterinary Assistance Program. So very excited about the honor for those three Bryan students. Other things coming up, plans are coming together for the senior recognition, which will be what is called the passport senior recognition, where they receive their passports, which is May 21st. And I also want to announce that if you have or know any students in grades 6 through 8, now's the time to sign up for Four County Summer Camp. And this is something that fills up. This year's camp will run June 8th through the 11th. Programs include Science of Sports and Recreation, Game On, Make Me Famous, and Math Easy as Pie. I do not know what each of those are about, but I hear they should be a lot of fun, and just contact the school if there's an interest. And just a little information about applications. For the school year 2015-16, applications have totaled 668 so far. And they have been able to place 539 from the Ford County area. The estimated enrollment right now for 2015-16, it will be 988 students.
Wow.
That's great.
That's a large number.
That was my update.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll move into the treasurer's report. Rob?
Okay, thank you. We'll look at the financial reports for the month ended March 31, 2015. First, our cash reconciliation report. On deposit at Farmers and Merchants State Bank, a balance of $10,345,202. Outstanding checks and adjustments, $310,951. Investments at Star Ohio, $3,229,353. Morgan Stanley, $38,719,562, and at State Bank, $4 million. Change funds and petty cash total $7,700 for total deposits $55,990,867 at the end of March. Some of our fund balances on the financial summary report to note: our general fund balance $11,563,181. Our bond retirement fund $1,043,830. And our permanent improvement fund, $2,335,777. Our LFI building fund for local share totaled $3,346,076. Our project fund local share, $34,029,314, and our money from the state on the project fund balance at $2,813,288. Once again, total funds on hand, $55,990,867. Looking at our SM2 report, where we review our revenues and expenses against our budget. So far this year, we're about $364,000 ahead of schedule on revenues, For expenditures, we are $532,298 to the good there as well, so total positive variance, $896,925. Any questions on those reports? If not, we'll look at amended appropriations for the month. Our total appropriations at the end of March were $31,644,716. Some of the significant fund changes during the month were our permanent improvement fund, an increase of $16,548, and our OHSAA tournament fund of $12,997. Total modifications during the month of March, $29,106.50. Any questions regarding the appropriation modifications? If not, our next item is bus bid. We had bus bid on March 25th. 3 companies provided us bids on a new bus that was in our permanent improvement budget for next year, and Mr. Beck has made a recommendation that we go with the Cardinal Bluebird bus. It's a 72-passenger bus at a cost of $76,720. Any questions regarding that bus bid or recommendation? If not, final item, we'd like to recognize donation from the Williams County Farm Bureau to the Washington Elementary Library for some books over there at the library. We appreciate that donation from the Williams County Farm Bureau. And that concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Rob? If not, I would entertain a motion supporting the treasurer's report and recommendations for the month.
So moved.
Moved by Celia. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ryan. Please call the roll.
Tom?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Glenn?
Yes.
Emily?
Yes.
Cindra?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Moving into old business, we have an update we'd like to hear about.
Yes, it's my pleasure to introduce or reintroduce Michelle Dean to the board representing Rudolph Libby, and she'd like to give us an update on the progress of the construction project.
Yeah, so if you're heading down the street here adjacently, you can see that there's actually some work starting on the new school system here. Actually, we're focusing on the 6 through 12 building first. We've had 3 different packages out for bid, and we've come within underneath our projected cost there. So the first one is actually the early site work package, which actually has started last Monday, and we actually got a little bit of work done even through Saturday yesterday, just trying to keep ahead of the weather here and whatnot. So the company doing that is Vernon Nagel, and so you'll see probably working hours starting between 7 and 5 o'clock and probably extending through some Saturdays just as we go through. So the building pad itself is actually starting tomorrow, so if you drive by the site, you actually start to see some activities going on there. The next thing that's going to happen actually is the foundations will start, the projection is to start on schedule, which would be starting on May 4th, and so that's when you're going to actually see a lot of the activity starting to happen. That's when a lot of the job trailers will be on site and get set up. The next thing just to note is that the steel's been on order, and the projection is to have that steel delivered and on site mid-July, so just shortly after the 4th of July, you'll start to see some major activity. I don't know if you want to talk about the community event happening this week?
Yeah, just as a reminder, we do have our groundbreaking ceremony scheduled for this Thursday, April 23rd, 10:30 a.m. on site. We'll have a small reception following the ceremony here in the field house. The public is invited to attend. We've had a tremendous response so far. We have approximately 100 community members who have RSVP'd. But if you haven't sent in your reservation, there is no need and there's still time. Everyone is welcome, and we look forward to having a great event, and weather is holding steady for us. We'll handle the cold as long as we don't have rain. So
I'd like to say I'm disappointed that you just scheduled it during the day, when staff members can't attend, and then you told them the board made that decision. We didn't.
We worked with Rudolph Libby and their publicist, who recommended that if we wanted the best coverage that we could get, that we have it at 10:30 in the morning to attract the media.
Staff and community members could have come.
And
And the
so,
board did not make that decision.
It still can be adjusted, so we're open to, to working with you on that. So if that's something that we need to do, we still have time to do so. And if there's a time that would be more appropriate, there's nothing set in stone. We basically are trying to get the most coverage from the news media and from the outside areas to come in, give you some publicity throughout
Appreciate
Northwest
that.
Ohio. So with that said, we're very open to changing the time and changing the date. So there's still opportunity for that.
so I guess we need to have some board discussion.
Floor is open. Is there any interest on the rest of the board's part of changing the date or time?
The only comment I guess I would make, and I understand the point that Emily's making, but, we had significant discussion at the core group meeting about the time and the date. And, I guess Mrs. Savage had inquired from the board as to any other interest specifically about what we might have, and I don't know that there was really any feedback specifically about that issue. We got to the core meeting and we started talking about options. And we talked to the architect, we talked to the Rudolph Libby representatives, we talked to the OSCC representatives about what their experience has been in the past with groundbreaking ceremonies. And there really is no set formula that works best. I mean, every one of them, I guess, is different. You've probably been through many of them.
Kind of first thing in the morning, at lunch, after
Yeah.
school.
I
so-
have been involved in 3 projects myself. Only one of them had any kind of what I would consider a major production, and that was Eden. Everything else has been relatively low-keyed. So, the decision was made at the core meeting as to exactly when we were going to do this based on a consensus of everybody there and their experiences with it. So that's how that, was arrived at. It wasn't that anybody was trying to slight anybody.
I've just heard from a lot of staff members who are really disappointed that that choice was made at a time that they could not be there. And the email sent out saying the board made that decision when they did not.
Well, I can't speak to that part of it, but I can tell you that, a significant amount of discussion was had on the issue, and it wasn't arrived at, quickly or lightly. And we had a number of other events relative to this whole process where, we've had them in the evenings, and we've had relatively, light turnouts for those, and I think they were probably as important. Not that groundbreaking isn't important or significant, but, to have 100 people respond, I think is a significant response for this particular event at this time of the day. And I've had some of the senior citizens in the community speak to the issue about us always scheduling events in the evening or later in the day when they would prefer to have them early in the day. So I guess the only point I'm trying to make is that there's always some group that is not going to be satisfied with when you plan an event. So, I personally think we should just, since we have it planned and everything is arranged, we should ride with that, but, I'm open to anybody else's opinion on the issue.
Any further comments or discussion?
I feel there's been plenty of publication about it already, and it's scheduled, and we have 100 responses.
What I could offer is part of what people enjoy about the ceremony is actually being able to put the hard hat on and turn the soil and whatnot. And we can maybe provide that for you to do and take some pictures with some of the key employees, some of the associates, and you can maybe carry that through another internal meeting that you have, or you can do that after school while the tent's still up and whatnot. So maybe there's a
That might go a
maybe
long
there's
way
a
to
compromise that
assuage
we can still have a photographer here and make
Appreciate
everyone
that.
feel part of it, because I know that's important.
Thank you, Michelle.
So
Okay.
the only other thing I would add, just as far as kind of the critical path of what's happening next is we've been focusing on just getting the early site work package. The large amount of projects that will be out for bid will be the main building itself. And so I know Craig Valhars and his team are working diligently over the next couple of weeks to get the final construction drawings for the building itself. We've basically just done the site work and the steel at this point. And so those opportunities will be out here shortly, and once we get the building permit, we've got one more pass I think that we're working, Rob. I think that you're involved in that, and just kind of May 5th is an important date, and we're all hoping to keep on schedule here, but we've got a good team, and we've had a lot of good coordination, and looking forward to, if anyone is interested in stopping out, safety is first, so we would ask that people would go to the job trailer and get some safety equipment and whatnot, and speak to our superintendent, Dan Reese. So it's really important.
Okay, thank you for your report. Thanks for the update. Any other comments? Tom, you were involved in the process. Anything else you want to report?
No, as Michelle has already indicated, to this point in time, I guess, having been around a number of these projects, I think this is going quite well. I'm quite pleased with what I see so far. We just need somebody to control the weather a little better, but whoever would want to volunteer for that. But other than that, so far so good.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much.
Glenn, I just have one more comment.
Okay.
Just received notice with the help of BMU and some great volunteers from their organization. We do now have a webcam up and running. It is pointed at the site. It'll refresh every 5 minutes from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And that is, again, being supplied by BMU, so we want to thank them. And the website is our levy website. It's yesforbryanschools.com. So we'll get that link posted on our school website and our social media accounts so that people can watch from home the progress.
Very nice.
Is that
Thank
something
you.
they can do for the groundbreaking on Thursday? Is
It's
that-
a real faraway view. I don't know. BMU is going to tape the groundbreaking ceremony. I don't know that they'll be able to broadcast it live.
Is that something you're going to put onto the website?
Yes. Yeah, but BMU will be here Thursday to videotape the groundbreaking.
I figured that much, but I wondered about live, possibly live, that it could be streamed into the schools.
Yep, I can check with BMU on that as well.
Okay. Is that all then under old business?
And that's all I have unless you have other
I'm not aware of any
questions.
new business, so we will move therefore into the superintendent recommendations for the month.
Okay, under administrative recommendations, we have a request for our annual 8th grade class trip. Pleased to announce to the board that this 8th grade class did a great job with their fundraising and have raised enough money to go back to Chicago. The scheduled dates are May 21st and 22nd. The agenda was provided to you, and we'll entertain any questions you may have about that class trip. Workbook and supply fees for the 2015-2016 school year. Mr. Rossworm and I met, and we've decided to recommend to keep those the same as they were this year. Preschool tuition is $75 per month. Grades kindergarten through 8 are $50 per month, and grades 9 through 12, $110 per month. Although we are seeing some impact, because as a reminder by state law, anyone who is on free or reduced lunch program does not pay school fees. We continue to monitor that year to year, and if the board would so be inclined or want us to study that further, we can certainly do that as preparation for next year. We have a contract with the Northwest Ohio Educational Service Center for the 3rd grade reading guarantee. By law, we have to have some external support and providers outside of our school district. The ESC serves as one of those providers in the need for any additional tutoring services for students who are struggling with the 3rd grade reading guarantee. The Northwest Ohio ESC services for the 15-16 school year, I'm recommending that we keep the hearing handicap at the same level, physical therapy, attendance services, legal retainer, SBH services, and the mentor program all at the same level as this year. And then designating the week of May 5th as Employee Recognition Week for Bryan City Schools.
Okay, very good. Any questions under administrative recommendations? If not, can I have a motion supporting them?
So moved.
Moved by Ryan, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Tom. Please call the roll.
Brian?
Yes.
Glenn?
Yes.
Emily?
Yes.
Cindra?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Under commendations, we'd like to recognize our third quarter All A Honor Roll students. I'm sure that our high school administrators will talk a little bit about our school musical this past weekend, but we'd like to commend the cast, crew, and director of our spring musical. We have Students of Action, Kiwanis Students of the Month. We've selected our Buckeye Boys and Girls State Representatives, Molly Lero, Olivia Tusco, Alan Kittle, Adam Hugg, and Mason King, Michael Sheridan, and our alternate Alex Dolan. We'd like to congratulate our art students. We have Ohio Governor's Art Show Display and Department of Education Art Display winners. We have our Black Swamp Arts Council High School Invitational Show Award winners. And then also would like to recognize our Four County students, our Bryan students who attend Four County for their state competition, Cameron Duke for Skills USA, Kyla Wheeler for FCCLA, Trace Lloyd for Health Occupations, and then Carly Boylan, Keisha Gonzalez, Brooke Vollmer, Sarah Snavely, and Kristen Seeley for HOSA. And then finally in the athletic arena, we have our NWOAL honors for girls and boys bowling, girls and boys basketball, and our all-star Cage Classic participants. At the middle school, we recognize our third quarter All A Honor Roll and Ike's Top Dogs for forgiveness. And then at Lincoln Elementary, we recognize our PE Gold Slip winners, our PE Character Bear classrooms of Mrs. Schilling and Mrs. Hoopy, and our character trait student commendations for forgiveness. Those
Okay.
are our commendations for this month.
Okay, thank you for that extensive list. If there aren't any questions, is there a motion supporting the commendations from the superintendent for the month?
So moved.
Moved by Tom, is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Cindra. Please call the roll.
Glenn?
Yes.
Emily?
Yes.
Cindra?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Thank you.
Under personnel, the first resolution is to initiate procedures under Ohio law for the retirement and reemployment of certain eligible teaching employees. We have 4 teachers that I'm recommending to the board for retire, rehire for next school year. This will help in our transition as we get to our new buildings. We have a significant number of staff who are retiring, and some of those positions will not be replaced for next year. And some of these positions are on a part-time basis. So just as a reminder for the board and for the public, that in order to be rehired, we have to go through a procedure. And that includes this initial resolution to start the procedure. We'll then advertise a public hearing, which will be held at our May board meeting. And that public hearing will be held before the regular agenda begins. We'll then have a special board meeting for that public hearing on the retire, rehire issue. We invite any community members who would like to comment on the retire, rehirees to attend that public hearing. And then finally, the board will take action to pass the resolution in June. So this is a long process, plenty of opportunity for feedback, but we do need to start it with this initial resolution.
Thank you. Are there any questions in regards to this? If not, may I have a motion to support the resolution to initiate the procedure?
So moved.
Moved by Tom, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ryan, please call the roll.
Emily?
Yes.
Cindra?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Glenn?
Yes.
Thank you.
On the addendum, we have a resignation of Bronson Eva as high school Spanish teacher, co-foreign language club advisor, head wrestling coach, effective June 30th.
Is there a motion supporting that?
Also move.
Moved by Cindra, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Tom, please call the roll.
Cindra?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Glenn?
Yes.
Emily?
Abstain.
Next on the agenda, we have a resignation by Kevin Klein, co-weight room coordinator and head football coach, effective April 9th. And Kevin Klein is high school business teacher, effective June 30th. We have resignation for the purpose of retirement, Mike Shannon as middle school custodian and Linda Miller as middle school library aide, both effective June 30th. We have the approval of FMLA for Carrie Wilhelm. We work with St. Patrick's School and we are their auxiliary service provider. So we would like to recommend to the board for approval, teacher to be determined as full-time intervention specialist at 100% base salary. Amy Brandt as auxiliary services personnel clerk, 2 hours per day, 90 days out of the year. Vicki Stambaugh as intervention aide, 2 hours per day, school days only. Next, we have the involuntary transfer of teaching personnel beginning with the 15-16 school year. Cheryl Fry will be moving to middle school cross-categorical room, and Abby Reeker will be transferred to the elementary cross-categorical classroom. We have 2 other transfers of teaching personnel for next school year. Abby Hughes will be moving to grade 1 intervention teacher, and Angie Davies will be moving to grade 3 intervention teacher. It is time in April to renew teaching contracts to begin that process. So you see listed for you the 2-year limited teaching contracts, the 2-year limited teaching contracts pending completion of licensure requirements, 3-year, 4-year, 5-year, all limited teaching contracts. High school summer school teachers will be Brandon Odell, Lisa Frame, Catherine Rocky, and Matt Neff. High school summer school substitute for approval, Stephanie Grew. Supplemental contract, this is for the remainder of this school year. As previously noted, Kevin Klein resigned as weight room coordinator, so I'm recommending John Miner to finish out this school year. We have 2 new substitutes to list, 1 teacher and classified Christy Frank, and 1 classified Madeline Plauk. And then annually, we do non-renew our substitute teachers. This is not a reflection of their duties performed, it's an annual action by our board. And that concludes that portion of the personnel recommendations.
Thank you. Are there any questions? If not, may I have a motion supporting these personnel recommendations for the month?
So moved.
Moved by Tom. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Sandra. Please call the roll.
Tom?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Glenn?
Yes.
Emily?
Yes.
Cinder?
Yes.
We have a non-renewal of substitute teacher and newcomer.
Motion supporting it.
Also move.
Moved by Sandra. And a second?
Second.
By Ryan. Please call the roll.
Brian?
Yes.
Glenn?
Abstain.
Emily?
Yes.
Cinder?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Thank you.
And non-renewal of substitute teacher for this school year, Claudia Miller.
The motion supporting.
Also move.
Moved by Sandra. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Glenn?
Yes.
Emily?
Yes.
Cinder?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Brian?
Abstain.
Okay, under our board policy updates, again, we're not voting this month on board policy updates. What you see before you is a combination of our quarterly review from Neola, which gets our board policies in line with any law changes, both federal and state level. You will also see the change to policy 2430.02, the athletic philosophy that we talked about, along with the BCS drug policy or drug testing policy. The BCS drug testing policy does not have a number yet. That will be assigned by Neola once it is board approved. We certainly can have discussion on any of those board policies, questions, but the vote will not happen until the May meeting.
Thank you.
Okay.
Points of information.
Points of information. I did just get this past week an update on the state budget, so I thought that I would pull some key items for the board. Please keep in mind, however, that it is April 20th and that we are probably a long ways away from getting this approved. But they are looking at testing and making some changes, even though we haven't finished testing for this school year. They're looking at changing, instead of having 2 parts, which we tested in March, and now we're testing again at our middle school levels, that we're combining that into 1. They are also looking at changing the funding formula, and we've seen a little bit different funding formula released. Under the new proposal, no district would receive less in foundation funding for next year in fiscal year 16 or 17 than it did in fiscal year 15. It would increase funding for 494 school districts, but because of the phase out of the tangible personal property tax, which is still included, 93 districts would be losing money, and we are one of those 93. We are impacted by the tangible personal property tax phase out. So that would impact us as a district. Also in the bill, in the funding bill, they would restore the 20 mil charge-off. They would phase in a guarantee that no district receive less per pupil than is provided through state sources to private schools. They'd create a joint task force on school transportation. They'd exempt gifted assessments from the 2% testing limitation that they're starting to talk about. They would extend safe harbor provisions for 2 years. They would change the annual student count to happen 3 times a year. It's just, there's a multitude of changes, and we know from hearing from Columbus that in addition to this entire list, which I could read, there are also changes coming to teacher evaluation systems. There's changes coming to the straight A grant funds. So stay tuned, as always, till we get the final version. Important upcoming dates. The next Board of Education meeting will be May 18th at 7 p.m. here in the Fieldhouse Conference Room. LPDC will meet April 23rd. Business Advisory will meet May 12th. The Records Commission will meet prior to the board meeting at 6:45 here in the Fieldhouse Conference Room. And we have reports from 4 of our administrators. Mr. Rary, you get to go first.
Good evening. As Mrs. Savage mentioned just a bit earlier, just another congrats to our cast and crew for Into the Woods over the weekend. If you had a chance to get out there and check it out, just a really nice job, well done, all the way around. So again, just another pat on the back to them for all their efforts and for keeping us entertained over the weekend. And spring sports are continuing again. The weather is having another hand in that as well. So please continue to stay tuned to all of the changes and updates to our social media websites. And if in doubt, always just feel free to call our office and we can get you an update on any change in dates. But we are having a lot of success in our spring sports, so it's fun to get out there. So come out and support them. Believe it or not, we're at the time of year already where we're starting to talk about graduation. So we have a senior picture coming up here May 1st. So that's for all of our students, both attending Fort County and Bryan High School currently enrolled with us. We're going to do a senior picture May 1st at 8 o'clock a.m. So we'll get that, the ball rolling here for our graduation process. And then just to throw out the graduation date, that it's Sunday, May 31st at 2 o'clock p.m. at the stadium, weather pending at this point. So we're hoping for the best as always. Also, as mentioned earlier, our testing is underway. We are starting round 2 of our tests, our end of course exams. We actually start at the high school level this Wednesday, so we're going to test this Wednesday and Thursday with our English, and then we're going to move into next week with our math, Monday through Thursday, and then on May 4th and May 5th, our social studies subject areas. So those are continuing as well. And then summer school, as we're talking graduation and the end of the year items, summer school applications are out for high school students or incoming high school freshmen as well. So please make sure you check your mailbox or check updates on the Facebook page and get your application in so you can get enrolled in those classes. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mrs. Cox?
Good evening. A few things to talk about. I had the privilege of giving a tour to 10 of our Head Start students that came over. They wanted to get a tour to get a feel for Washington when they come to school next year. So I gave a tour in the AM and also gave a tour in the PM. They were excited to be in Washington, had lots of questions, lots of smiling faces, so that was fun to do that. We also had our kindergarten screening on Thursday, April 9th and Friday, April 10th. Big thank yous to our teachers and our aides who made those days run very smoothly. Also a big thank you to Mrs. Stockman, who was very well prepared, made lots of copies, name tags for students and parents. It ran very smoothly with my first time and Mr. Heward's help as well. We were able to screen 120 students. All our time slots were filled up. We have 20 students scheduled already for June, so that's coming along nicely as well. We are in the process of working on our kindergarten end of the year program. That is May 28th. We are also in the process of preparing for we have field trips coming up. Our kindergarten students are going to the botanical gardens, and we also have our kindergarten students who are learning about goods and services. They are going to be taking a tour through Spangler Candy. Our teachers are wrapping up end of the year assessments. Our kindergarten teachers are also giving the ESGI, and I know Mr. Heward will talk more about testing.
All right, thank you. Mr. Bassett.
Good evening. Well, as everyone mentions, testing. We're in our second week of testing at the middle school, wrapping up the second round of part testing, and we're kind of seeing the light at the end of the tunnel that we're starting to wrap that up, so we're excited about that. Tomorrow, our fourth graders are invited to attend the community concert series at the Arts and Ed building, and they're going to enjoy a Canadian fiddler who's going to take them through the history of the fiddle as he plays for them, so they're excited for that. 2 weeks ago, I want to thank you to First Federal Bank. We hosted them. They brought 4 or 5 employees in, and they talked to our 6th graders about savings and walked them through a mock budget in kids' terms of choices of whether to buy candy or a video game or save for something else. So a good activity for our 6th graders to start thinking about savings. We also have our second round, or spring round of concerts coming up. May 4th is our band concert, followed by the orchestra concert on May 11th.
Thank you. Mr. Gord.
My turn?
Your turn.
Couple things, as Chad and Karen alluded to, we are doing our OAA reading testing. That's tomorrow. So again, with the 3rd grade reading guarantee, this is another shot for those kids who didn't pass in the fall to get another shot at it. Again, if they don't pass this time, we do have more intervention that'll take place, and then they have one more chance in July. So looking forward to that. We do take the math park on Thursday and Friday this week, and that's all paper-based. They're doing computer at the middle school and the high school, but we're doing paper-based at Lincoln still. Busy week this week. Wednesday is Earth Day. If you didn't know it was Earth Day, it's Earth Day on Wednesday. Mrs. Manriquez and Mrs. Grant have been busy planning. We've been saving lids now for almost a year, I think. So we have all these lids that have kind of populated our art room at Lincoln. And so if you haven't seen some of the pictures on Facebook, we had the mural they did for our Lincoln Day. And now they're going to be adhering all those lids to Lincoln to make them kind of like a 3D thing. It looks pretty cool. And then Friday is Arbor Day, and this is something that we've always coordinated with the Parks Department. And again, they have a program for our children at 1 o'clock on Friday. Hopefully the weather will cooperate, or we'll have to move into the auditorium for that. We are busy with some more. I know Karen talked about preschool coming to Washington. We'll also have our 1st graders going to Lincoln here in May. We'll have our 3rd graders going to the middle school, so we have all those transitional type things taking place. But the good news is we always have a few more of those, and then we'll be in our buildings, so that's a good thing. I know that always adds apprehension with children and parents, so the good news is we kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel. We got a few more of those transitional things, and then someday we'll just have that 5th to 6th grade transition, so a lot of great things happening at Lincoln.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. It's always exciting to hear all of the activities going on this time of the year. We recognize that the spring of the year is a very busy time for everyone's schedule. And it's great to hear of all the successes that we're having in our school district. At this time, we do have need to go into executive session, I believe. It's going to be under item A, the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, OSHA compensation, employee or investigation charges, complaints against employee, official, licensee, or student. Is there a motion to support that?
So moved.
Moved by Tom. Is there a second?
Second.
Please call the roll to go into executive session.
Seems like one might. No. Emily.
Yes.
Cindra.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
Brian.
Yes.
Glenn.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, no action is anticipated, but I'd like to thank everyone again for coming this evening and tuning in. We look forward to seeing many of you here on Thursday. With that, the meeting is adjourned.